Hey everyone, I want to talk about exclusivity. There's this stigma that's going along with Google Stadia that they don't have a bunch of exclusives to help sell the platform. And I can understand why people would say that. And in order to make my point, I'm going to take us back to the launch of another console, and that would be the Nintendo Switch. On March 3rd, 2017, the Nintendo Switch launched. Very exciting day for me because it's the day that I got to play for the first time the system seller for the Nintendo Switch, Zelda Breath of the Wild, my favorite game of all time. Now, Zelda Breath of the Wild is a very important game because without it, I feel like the Nintendo Switch would have floundered at best. Nintendo had just come off the Wii U, which only sold a little more than 14 million consoles in its entirety worldwide. So the lifetime of the Wii U, 14 million, I think it's 14.7 million, but don't quote me on that. 14 million consoles worldwide over however many years it was on the market for. And if you compare that to the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo sold 15 million of these. We just found this out like last week. They sold 15 million of these in the US alone in only 2.5 years. When you compare that to the Wii U, it is very impressive. And the reason for that is mostly due to Zelda Breath of the Wild. Let me explain why. Nintendo launched in March. They did what I call a soft launch. They launched with very few games. They had Zelda, but and that alone caused enough word of mouth about, oh my God, this game is amazing. This is the system seller. This is why you need a Switch, that enough people started buying it. And then Nintendo kept bringing out game after game every month. They started with like nothing. They started with, I think it was like 5 games, and one of them was 1-2 Switch. Another one was Bomberman R, which is actually a pretty good game, but nobody played it. But this is the reason. This is why people have a Switch. They have it because of Zelda. So they started out with almost no games, and then over time, every month, that first year in 2017, Nintendo just had hit after hit after hit, just amazing game after amazing game. They nailed that first year. And because they nailed that first year, it gave them enough momentum to carry through into that holiday season. So come October, when they launched Super Mario Odyssey, like there were enough Switches made. They had them in stores. The Switch had a really good library and a Zelda game and a Mario game all at once. These exclusives saved Nintendo from the depths of the Wii U, because the Wii U was a failure for them. And it's not that it's a bad system, because it's not. It's a really good system, and there's some fantastic games on the Wii U, but it just failed. And I really don't think there's any arguing that point. So, why is it that a game like Zelda is so important for Nintendo, but exclusivity isn't important for Google Stadia? Because that's really the kind of the point that I'm trying to make with this video, is that exclusivity for Google Stadia isn't important. And the reason why it's not important is because there's no system to sell. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that will say, well, it's $129 for the Founders Pack, so you can get the Chromecast and the controller, and then you can play it, and it launches on November 19th. And I agree. All of those things are true. That's the soft launch. The real launch is next year, 2020. And how much does it cost? $0. Do you have to pay for Stadia Pro? No. So what do you have to do to get me to try it? Just have a demo. That's all you need. You need a demo. You need to convince people that it's going to work, and to convince them that it's going to work without having them have to pay any money. That is how you're going to sell this system. It doesn't have to be a game that is exclusive. We have proven over and over to big companies that people will pay for convenience over everything else. If something's convenient, that thing is going to succeed. Look at the music industry. The music industry was going down the tubes. They were making they were losing money. The pirates were downloading everything, and then Apple comes along and says, "Hey, how about we make a little store where people can give you money for your music, but we're gonna sell it one song at a time for 99 cents." And the music industry was like, "That's way too cheap." But eventually they caved. They said yes, and of course it saved them. The video industry, the same exact thing happened. People were pirating movies and downloading them, and it was kind of a pain to do, but it was better than going to a store and buying a thing to put on your shelf that you didn't want. And I know that there's people out there who like physical stuff, and that's fine. This video is not for you. Go watch a video about people who like physical stuff. And look, I clearly, if you look behind me, I clearly like physical stuff. I don't make that like I don't. It's not black or white. There's some gray in there. So I've forgotten what the hell I was talking about. But the video industry. Eventually they made it easy enough for me to buy a movie online. And if you make it easy for me to give you money, most of the time we're going to give you money. That's just the way it works. People like convenience. And that's what Google needs to sell with Stadia. It's convenient. It's convenient. You don't need a system seller because there's no system to sell. It's just convenient. So when I talked to John Justice on the show and I asked him, "Are you going to have demos?" And he said, "Yes. Not only will we have demos, we will have demos for the Stadia base, which is the free subscription. So people who are not subscribing to Stadia Pro, they can try out the games for free." Think about that. I don't have to have any equipment. I could just use a Chromebook and a controller, or heck, a Chromebook and a mouse, because the Chromebook has the keyboard built in. I can just try a game on that. And if I'm having fun, there's a button to buy it. I don't need an exclusive game to sell the system because there's no system to sell. And I think that that's a very important point that a lot of people are forgetting about. Every single time I see a conversation about Google Stadia, it is inundated with people saying, but they don't have any exclusives. Well, first of all, yes, they do. They have, I think Guilt is an exclusive. And then the one where you got to kill all the orcs is an exclusive. 1,000 orcs, or I can't remember the name. All orcs must die. Orcs Must Die 3, I think that's a temporary exclusive. And then, of course, all of the first-party stuff that Google is going to bring out whenever they get to it. I'm sure that development is going to take time. I doubt that stuff is going to be on other platforms, especially because I think a lot of that stuff is going to be leveraging the things that can only be done in a cloud environment and you can't do on a PS4 or a PS5 or Project Scarlet or Nintendo Switch. You just can't do it in those places. That's going to help sell it as well. But the first time that somebody watches a YouTube video and there's this cool game that they see, and at the end it says play now, and then they can click that and start playing, that is going to sell. And that is why Google Stadia doesn't need to have exclusives.